Paolo was introducing me, I'm an instrument engineer coming from the field. Having all the trouble and all the, let's say, all the difficulties that we will face, experienced myself, I thought it was time that I'm trying to help the younger generation, and I'm glad I see a lot of younger people here. That is why I have my hair as white as possible. But the whole focus of the presentation, as you will see, is there is some history. But we are human beings, and we are very stubborn. We are very hard to listen to what people are telling us. And would you prefer to make all the mistakes yourself, maybe at cost of life, at cost of environment, or would you maybe start to listen to some good engineering practice? That's the theme for the presentation. Difficulties that people will have by not listening or not learning from previous accidents, from good engineering practices, from directives, from laws, from regulations, from standards. That's the whole topic. And certainly, I can tell you, if you make the mistake yourself, you will learn a lot quicker. Give you a very quick example. I have shut down a complete naphtha cracker by making a mistake in software. I very quickly learned because the management has given me a hell of a time. If you hear the story and you have never shut down a plant, you have never heard the relief valves going open. When you make a mistake, it's just a relief valve, you think. But when you are there on the plant itself, I'm working with low-density polyethylene reactors as an example. 2,700 bar is the normal operating pressure. If something happens with this reactor, I can tell you, something will happen here in your heart also. Well, Nigel certainly already mentioned the deep water horizon. That's certainly something now very fresh in everyone's memory that everyone will probably carry on for many, many, many years to come. But there were a lot of accidents before that. Seveso was a chemical release of a plant, and Seveso is somewhere in the area of Milan, north of Italy, and it became a directive to force all the chemical industry that they should not keep the storage as high as possible of their hazardous products. They have to have a minimized level of safety on that. Flixborough, Piper Alpha. Piper Alpha was the platform in the North Sea. It killed 167 people. 167 people. You would imagine that the operator, who was the company, Occidental Petrol, would have learned a lesson. I can tell you, they didn't. They have the same offshore platform in the Middle East, and they do safety with conventional PLCs. There is no safety culture still at this company. We have Texas City, etc., etc. Now let's have a quick look on a few of them. 1974, in England, they were taking a reactor out of maintenance, or in maintenance, and they were making an improper connection between reactor 4 and 6. Result was, they killed 28 people, and all of a sudden, in 1974, the industry was shocked. Wow, we are building dangerous plants. We can have something very dramatic. Bhopal Union Carbide. For those who haven't heard of this, you are not from this business. That's the worst chemical industry accident ever. So in India, in 1984, there was this very, very toxic release of chemical gas, killing thousands and thousands of people. And during the night itself, what actually happened, they had 3 storage tanks, they had 4 independent layers of protection, and all of them failed. So you may think you build a safety system, you may think you have your operators trained, you may think that your manager has decided that they had to keep 50% storage empty on the tanks to let it capable to expand. They didn't. They had the tanks full, etc., etc. All very simple errors. But on the night itself, it killed between 3,000 to 5,000. They could not even count the dead people correctly, because around the plant was full of slum. Poor people living around the plant, and they were all killed by inhaling the gas. Until today, this is from a couple of months ago, they count 23, I already heard 25, so it's a rough estimate from people still suffering from this accident. And certainly when this is happening, the chemical industry was getting another shock. Wow, we are building very dangerous plants with very hazardous products, we have to do something. Texas City. I don't think we have to talk much about Texas City. It was a catalog of errors. We will see that one of the next slides. $2 billion was set aside to bring their safety up to level on 5 different BP plants from US or in the US. We know that today that BP is spending a lot more money than 2 billion. The latest figure, I think it's a couple of days ago, what they had freeze $50 billion on an account to clean up their mess. That's the amount of money which a company like BP is losing. Those people were people like us, human beings. They had family, they also had kids. Some of them, or one daughter that I have personally met, her father and mother died on the same accident. I can tell you, if you speak to a person who lost someone, you will get serious. If you only read this in the newspaper, oh, it's 11 people or 15 people, you don't think about this. But if you meet them in person, it comes to your heart and you know that we have to do something. And of course, in the modern technology, we have more and more of these reports. We have investigation reports. The Baker panel is known to produce this report of investigation, and they found a catalog of all mistakes. Not so much a single instrument, not so much one operator error. As Nigel was saying, the fish smells from the, from the head. So when the management has no culture, they will not push the culture down to you. I just assume there is no top manager in here. If there is, excuse my language, but I'm coming from the field. So when they don't push it down, you will never make the culture correct. There was a Baker panel. CSB, the Chemical Safety Board, also have an investigation report. And this was the final report from Mockford. All of them has a lot of good sections in there. And I would actually recommend to give the executive summary to your management. The executive summary will not go into bits and bytes. It's on a higher level of language that they will explain what actually went wrong. Process safety leadership, again, we come to the same story. It's from top down, from management. They can drive the culture. If your management or your management is only interested to make money, and they don't care when they lose 11 or 15 people, that's the management decision. They decide how much risk they are tolerate on their plants or on their platforms. That's come from management down. And the accident that was happening was a massive fire at a fuel depot. It was not a refinery, it was purely storage. Had a lot of pipelines in England, they all go to the storage, and they had all the storage on this tank farm. 2 weeks ago, I was at the loss prevention, which is one of the international seminars where people like us are debating the pro and the cons of all such kind of things. And there was an investigator from England who came and explained in depth what happened there. They had a lot of cameras installed around here. They call them the CCTVs, and they could actually start to recapture all the images and the pictures of what actually happened there. And you know what happened in this one? It was a very simple error. They had one level of an overfill protector, and the overfill protector was a switch. And guess what? If your switch doesn't work, you're out of business. And they were filling up the tank. The vents of the tank had the fuel going on the floor. There was no gas detection, so they could not detect there was something building up. And same similar story as in BP Texas City. There was an ignition, there was a cloud, and boom, it happened. Lucky for them, no person was killed. But the damage is around €1 billion, which is about 1.2 billion US dollars. And all these reports, yet again, are telling us, a human being, we have to be careful because we are working with hazardous products. And if you don't follow the rules, if you don't have the competency, you may make the same error as this one. Both of these companies, you know what they did? They are suing the company who installed the level switch, and they are suing the company who was responsible for maintenance on the plant. They don't sue their own people, that they were incompetent to make a proper HAZOP, to make a proper hazard identification on this plant. No, they go after the instrument, which I think is insane. Our industry, our management, they have no memory. They have no memory of what happened, because I'm sure that similar accidents will happen again and again and again.